Hi, it's Karen, the Weekend Craftaholic, and of course I've got a scrapbooking layout for you today, and I've done this on International Scrapbooking Day yesterday, so it was very last minute. I rejigged my schedule, and what I've been wanting to do for a while is this Pieces of Us project. So if you're not familiar with it, all the links will be down below as usual. I'm using this cotton watercolour cardstock, which I got from Uniquely Creative. I've not tried it yet, and I've had it for a few months. I'm also wanting to use up some of my stash with the Sunny Days collection, and I've got this cheapo stencil from Kmart. We can see it's well loved. I do like this one. So this Pieces of Us project, it just asked you to take a photograph, one for every day in the week. So there's 7 different photos of me. It might look a little bit odd. You're probably wondering why I've got pictures of my feet on my hands. So please check it out if you want more information on that. You'll see lots of hashtags on Instagram about it, and a lot of people have done journaling, made little books. I decided I want to turn mine into a scrapbook layout because this is going to be on the wall in my craft room. I've got a little 12 by 12 frame that I use, and I rotate my scrapbook layouts through it just so I can see them and enjoy them for a little while until I do the next one. So you see I'm using this Vicky Bouton Creative FX. I love this, the shimmer that it gives. I've decided to do the gold colour because there is quite a little bit of gold in the Sunny Days collection as well, so I thought that would tie in quite nicely, and it just gives a little bit of texture to the layout as well. Not too much, it's nice. It's like a moussey kind of, like the Nouveau Mousse cream, I'd say, that kind of texture, but it goes on lovely through these stencils, as you can see, and I'm a little bit blasé about it. So you see here as I do a bit of a reveal that I have made a little bit of a mess in the bottom corner there, but that's fine. I am going to have these photographs layered across it, so that's one little spot that I need to cover up that mistake. My original plan was just to have the mosaic in the centre, but then I was worried that there'd be a bit too much white space around the edges. So what I've decided to do is just add this stencil, just a little bit of it on each of the corners. So if you almost think of, and in my mind I was thinking of like the tiles you get, the mosaic tiles, and then when you add all the tiles together you get complete mosaics or patterns. So it's almost like a quarter on each of the corners that would join up. So that's kind of the look I was going for. I really wanted the background to be just as much of a focus on this layout as the photographs, because as you'll see, the photographs are not very flattering. They're just me. They're just very realistic snapshots in time. So I did want another focus that would really pop and be quite loud in the background. You can see I'm not being too precise. I don't want this to appear as though it's a completely symmetrical design. I did want it to be slightly different, which is why you've seen me turning them around as well. Now I'm going to leave this to dry, probably for about an hour or so, because I'm going to move on to my next stage anyway, which is some fussy cutting. So you can see in the collection we've got these little pieces that are reflective with the gold. I've done those off camera, and now my background layout is done. What I would say with the creative effects, if you use a heat gun it will bubble up, which is quite a nice effect actually if you want that. Just be careful if you were trying to speed up the drying process for that. Now you can see here I've got my watercolours out. These are the Gansai Tomboy that I've actually transferred into this smaller palette just to make it easier when I want to go into, say, the front room while I'm watching TV. So I'm picking out these now. Now I'm picking out a colour that, I was just looking through the photographs, a background colour that would actually match some of the colours in the photos. I've got a lot of browns anyway, so I think the gold kind of works with that. And complete fluke, but I decided to use this kind of spearmint teal colour, which is actually the colours of my walls in my craft room. So this is actually going to look pretty good when it's on the wall because it is going to match that as well. That was completely coincidental, and I only actually realised when I did put it on my pegboard in my craft room that it matched quite nicely, so I'm pleased with that. Now I'm trying not to put too much water on this because I don't want to lose too much of the pigment. I like the darker colour, and I started off, as you could see, doing some splats as well with that before I just very roughly scratch this on. Now I'm not worrying too much about it because a lot of it will be hidden by the photographs. Now I've moved on to doing some gold splatters, and in this little palette there is also the, I think it's called Starry Nights, another Gansai kit. I'll check out and put links down below, but I was just checking the right colour of gold for that. So again, doing the splats and then doing some of the little smudges as well. Can't remember which particular gold it was, and I know it's looking pretty brown on camera, but actually close up and in the flesh it looks fine. It doesn't look as brown as it does here. Maybe it's just that really bright sheen of the creative effects that's making it look a little bit dull. I don't know, but it does look fine. And again, a lot of it will be hidden by photographs as well on here, so I just want to try and get rid of some of that white background and just have a little play and have an excuse just to have a little play with these watercolours. Now while that's drying, I've got this spearmint coloured A4 sheet. It's like a little bit of a foil effect as well, which is nice. And I'm just going to back these photographs as well. I know the watercolour won't take long to dry, so I don't need to worry about waiting for that. So I am adding all of these pictures on before I start to trim them down, and this is probably one of my first mistakes. So I thought it'd be fine. I thought it doesn't matter too much. I don't want something too uniform. Don't need all of the frames to be exactly the same. But you'll see when I finish it, I probably should have done it. It looks a little bit messy, and I think this is the problem. I really do need to start designing and slowing down and planning a bit more when I do, whether it's my cards or my scrapbook layouts or even pages in my pocket page notebooks. I just do it. I'm not really a planner when it comes to this. I just like seeing where it takes and get a bit more hands-on. But yeah, that's probably the only thing I would say with this scrapbook layout, that I wish it was a little bit neater around the edges of all of these. So like I said, I didn't really want it to be too symmetrical and precise, but because there is so many of these small photographs, I think it probably on reflection really needed to be. So I'm just trimming these down, and you can see I do end up quite a lot of times going back with the scissors as well, just to try and trim those out. And this is where you get a first look at these photos as well. So whilst you see me do this, I'll just explain a little bit more about the Pieces of Us project. It's an Ali Edwards one. She does it every year, but this is the first time I thought I would take part. And each day of any particular week, really, you just take, you follow the prompt and take a picture. And the idea is you're just reflecting, you're doing a little bit of journaling, you're pausing in life, and you're actually tracking real life as well. You know, quite often on social media everything is filtered, or you're sharing the best of you. You know, this isn't always about sharing your best view, it's just about sharing real life. And that's really what drew me to this project this year, actually, because I do feel like we never capture ourselves as creators and crafters. You know, we're always taking pictures of our families or our pets, and very rarely we do it of ourselves. So I thought this would be quite a nice little project to do. And it's only a week long, so it's not something you really have to worry too much about. I am going to do my journaling on the back, so it's nice and private. And if ever in the future anyone does want to take notice and look through my scrapbook album, then they will see this as well. So this is kind of my rough layout. I've got my little tray of scraps here because I feel like this centre one does need a little bit more. I've obviously still coloured it, backed it with the spearmint, but I want to kind of do a bit of a double layer with that. So I've got this scrap of gold glitter, which is very fortuitous. It's the right kind of colour gold that I need for the layout, and that's just going to go right in the centre of that as well. And this is where I'm talking about lack of planning comes into play. This is where I do a lot of faffing and fiddling around. I normally edit this out, to be honest, but it is National Scrapbooking Day, and I thought I would keep as much of this in as possible, you know, in line with the real me focus with Pieces of Me. You know, this is the real me when I'm scrapbooking. It's not all precise and as perfect as you see. It's a lot of going back and forward, and mistakes get made. So I'm just sharing those with you as well. Speaking of, this is another one that I do, and I don't know why, actually. I don't know why I went to try and put tape on this, tape adhesive. I normally always, when I'm using this fun foam, use liquid glue. And you're probably going to be as frustrated as me now watching this. I certainly am watching it back. But I decide to use this tape adhesive to back, and because it's not adhesive foam tape, this is a cheaper fun foam that you can get for children. It's a lot cheaper, it's a lot more affordable. But yeah, you'll see me struggling with this and thinking, oh man, why didn't I just use my liquid glue? I don't know. So I'm trying to get that off now with the tweezers. And you see also later on as well, it doesn't even stick very well over that stenciled bit because there is a slight texture to it as well. So I finally persist and get this off, and then realise I need to go back to my glue, and I've just used that particular photo to cover that little mistake that I did in the stencil as well. Now this glue pen is from Couture Creations. It's one of my absolute favourites. You see me kind of struggling with it a little bit, but once you get going the flow is perfect, and it is coming to the end, and I'm trying to squeeze every last bit out of this before I do another order to get some more of it. Now these fun foams, it's hard to say, you see I'm using all of these random colours. It's not going to be seen throughout the back, so I don't need to worry about keeping it cohesive. I keep all of the more neutral colours like the whites and blacks for when I'm making cards and using these for those. So I just purposely use these random colours on my scrapbook layouts because I know they'll be hidden. Now this is where I decide to put all of the bottom ones in a straight line, and that's where you really do notice the frames of the pictures don't look too good. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm not that much of a perfectionist that I need to go back and change it. And you can see here, this is a pretty quick process now that I've got this glue pen going. And there we go, that is more or less the layout done. I just need to add a few embellishments to it, and after choosing the Sunny Days collection to be kind of inspiration for these coloured backgrounds, I don't end up using any of them. All of those leaves, flowers that I fussy cut out, I don't end up using. I do use some of these gold thickers, so that does it line up with the gold, and I've just got a little title here that just says me. I don't feel like I need anything else on there. And then I have also cut out this happy little moments. That was from one of the from the paper pad, one of the 12 by 12 sheets, and I think that again that's just another little title that I can add just to cover up some of these photographs as well. I did have a little look around adding some of these gold fussy cut flowers, but I just thought it just didn't fit at all, so I quickly gave up on that idea, and I'll use them again for a later project. This is what my finished project looks like on my little pegboard in my craft room. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've had some time over National Scrapbooking Weekend to actually do some scrapbooking yourself, and have a great crafting weekend. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.